The following program is a production of All the Way Live Entertainment.
Their opponents, they are the reigning Wild Tag Team Champion of the world, accompanied to the ring by their public defender, Sophia Lopez, formerly housed in the Nevada State Correctional Facility. They are Loca and Delta Lotta Payne, better known as Cage Heat.
With my bad friend, I did bad things. Not just a bad life, I have bad dreams.
Doing crazy time for my crazy crimes. You got me crazy going with these crazy rhymes.
Yeah, let me tell you.
This ain't no place for nobody. Yeah. Yo, yo, yo! Loca and Delta in the house.
Yeah, they just got out of
We
the big
did our
house.
time in Nevada, kids. We did a lot of hard time.
You know, and we all have our 15 minutes of fame, and I'd like to take a couple of my 15 minutes to talk about the rights and the wrongs in the world of professional wrestling.
WWE Championship.
This match is for the ECW World Heavyweight Championship. The World Heavyweight Championship. The match and new NWA Heavyweight Champion of the world.
We appreciate you guys coming out and taking your time to support women's wrestling in America.
This match is for the AWA World Heavyweight Wrestling Championship.
Welcome to another edition of the Women's Pro Wrestling Network's Rights and Wrongs of Pro Wrestling. This is your host, Mr. Green, and continuing on the trend of talking, or I guess getting you guys caught up with some of the individuals that were on the WOW television program from back in the day. I have yet another surprise for you. We got Loca is joining me on the program, and we're going to talk everything WOW and maybe a little bit of her life outside of WOW. We won't peel back the curtain too far, but we're going to give you just enough. And I think as this goes on with the collection that we have here on this channel and podcasts and interviews and whatnot, we will have provided you the most extensive collection of information as it relates to the women of wrestling. I was about to say my show, but yeah, of women of wrestling. So we've given you a lot of backstage stuff. This is gold here. You don't understand how good this information is. So, Loco, welcome to the show.
Well, it's Loca because I ain't a boy.
Sorry. I can't,
Hola, Brian.
I can't give it that kind of flair that you did when you speak. So maybe I should just go with Cher. Is that better?
That's true. You can call me, yeah. Right now you're talking to Cher, but, people always call me Loca, but yes, it's Cher. But thank you, Brian. Thank you for having such a great show and creating a platform for people to inquire about wrestling and women's wrestling. So thank you for your show.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, clearly I am not the only person out there that has these questions, and I try my best to kind of fill in the blanks when I can, if I could track some of you guys down, because, a lot of you have just kind of gone off of the map. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like
after post-decade, but yeah, I hear you.
Yeah, when the show ended, it's like, okay, it's time to live my life now, and certainly nothing wrong with that. But when you're
right.
trying to do a show and people are asking you questions like, "Hey, can you get so and so on?" I'm like, "Well, I don't know, man. She hasn't been public
right.
for like a decade." So
true.
So that gets a little tough on occasion. So listen, what we're going to do here, because I want to be transparent with the listeners and say that, listen, we've had a conversation prior to this, which was offline, and we talked about a lot of stuff, and we're going to try to recap some of that and ask a few new things in here.
Okay.
But just to get the general questions out of the way, the stuff that I certainly think that fans should know about you is the beginning. I know you talked about it, but just briefly touch on how you came across WOW to begin with.
Yeah, I'm blessed with timing, and timing is a good thing to have in life, in music, in wrestling. And I got asked to come in for a meeting, and WoW was about to start, I believe, 3 weeks, maybe a month. And one thing that people don't know is that Caged Heat was already formed, and the original was Vendetta, and she got hurt before the show even started. So they were searching for who Delta Lotta Payne's partner is going to be, and to push Caged Heat, because we were opening the show, and Selena Majors, the best coach, really loved Caged Heat and really saw the gimmick going and being fun and representing women. So, I went in going like, what is this? I didn't know much about wrestling at the time. I grew up watching it as a kid, but never thought that I could be one of them. It was one of those things. And so David McLean had a big meeting, and I was literally like, what is this? There's going to be a bunch of girls like in a bathing suit jumping around. I was like, oh, hell no. So I just watched the pilot, and it was pretty much, them trying to, it wasn't even none of the girls that were, it was literally a pilot that they put together of women. And I really wasn't impressed with that. And David McLean saw that I wasn't impressed with what I saw, and he said, hey, can you just stick around and watch the girls train? I said, okay. And when I saw Jungle Girl, and I saw Delta Lotta Payne, and I saw Lana Starr in there, and all these girls of, different sides and all beautiful, I said, oh my God, I want to get in this right now. And there it was. The next day I was training hard and trying to prove myself too, because there was 2 rings, and all the girls, looking at me, eyeing me down, like, who is this? So I had to keep my cool and keep strong, and probably did so many, kept training until they told me to stop, because I didn't know if I should ask to stop. So, and then literally 2 weeks later, I'm like walking down the ramp with Delta Lotta Payne, and it felt like a absolute dream come true. So that's that beginning of WoW. So it was amazing.
Okay, now, and let's, I guess, recap some of what you said there. First off, for those that aren't aware, I mean, most people that's listening to this already are familiar with WoW, but the ones that just kind of popping in on the tail end of it, maybe you started
Sure.
watching WoW online. WoW originally was running in late 2000 and the early 2001. So, as you just stated, the tag team Cage Heat was already essentially produced, but as what happens in wrestling, sometimes adjustments have to be made to teams, and you have to slot one person in for the next, and then that becomes the team that is most known to the public. I guess for those wrestling fans out there that are looking for something that's relatable in that regard, Bubba Ray and Devon Dudley are the most popular version of the Dudley Boys, but they are not the original version of the Dudley Boys.
Exactly. Perfect correlation. Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, but I guess what's interesting in you guys' case is that Vendetta at some point came back. I mean, we'll talk about that as we kind of roll on.
Sure.
But it's just interesting to hear that the original incarnation of it would have been Delta Lotta Payne and Vendetta, which just on the surface looking at them, and even in their style in the ring, they both seemingly worked power. So I'm not sure how that how that dynamic would have worked, because
you're right. Yeah.
The introduction
interesting point for sure.
The introduction of your character kind of added speed, I guess, if you want to say that.
Sure. Big mouth. I instigated all the fights, so I knew I had to, and just bringing some realism of having fun with as Loca, being, we're on work release, so it's like, hey, I got this amount of time to come out, do my job, have fun, and with my freedom that I had as Loca coming out. So I had a blast because they gave me freedom to play Loca. So it wasn't like, this is who she is. They gave me my name, and they were very, very cool. First of all, they didn't have much time, because it was happening, but it just all fell into place. And so I got to be an exaggerated version of myself. and I was always athletic, so it was just such a perfect combination. So yeah, I added the speed, and then Delta came in and was the powerhouse for sure.
Okay.
So that's interesting because they put them in both.
Yeah, I mean, just I was going back and I was recapping some of the videos, and I just saw the match and Vendetta's appearance at the pay per view, and I was like, she would have been, she works power, and I was like, I was just wondering, I was like, I wonder how this would have worked had that actually occurred. But
Interesting.
but I guess you could always play the what if game. But
Yeah, exactly.
the gimmick of Caged Heat, as you just stated, was essentially that you got these two girls who are operating off of a work release from the Nevada State
Mhm.
Prison. And on the weekends, we get to come out here. We get to wrestle for the WoW promotion because David McClain worked out some kind of a deal to
Right.
have you
With the
guys.
warden.
There you go. With the warden released into his care that you can come in here and you can wrestle, which is a bit over the top, but it was fun for what WoW was, and that's pretty much what it was about. Just kind of having these
Yeah.
large characters that you can toss up onto the screen, and that's what
Mhm.
wrestling was essentially at that time. And of course, you guys have
Right.
evolved since then, and we'll go off into that. One
Sure.
thing that we didn't talk about last time is the Cage Heap intro, the rap.
Mhm.
This-
Yes.
this- when did you find that you would be performing that? Did they just say, "Hey, look, we want you to here's some lyrics, go sing it."
Yeah, it was funny because once it got it was magic when me and Delta met. It was one of those things where it was just like boom. I mean, I would never compare myself to the Beatles, but it's like literally that form of like, wow, these guys just get along. We always had everybody in stitches. We made everybody laugh. And then, but when it came down to training, we were really good. When it came down to training, we stepped it up, and so I think they just saw the talent between us because not only were we athletic, not only did we get along, but we had some extra skills, and I felt it coming. I was like, I bet you these guys are gonna make us do some dumbass rap. I know it. And then I don't know if I manifested it or what, and I was like, I was like, who's writing this? Or like, some dude that's never even heard of a gang or something, not that I want to be related to that. But sure enough, came down with this, rap, and actually Dealt a Lot of Pain wrote my part. They didn't have, because I forgot what it was, maybe because they had something already, and then Dealt a Lot of Pain wrote my part. Actually, she probably should get a writing credit. And then we banged it out, and it's just hilarious to me that I still get fans hitting me up like, I loved your song, like it was a little silly rap, but people still knew about it. It's like, they were 15 and now they're 30, like I remember you, and it's like, wow, that's incredible. But yeah, they came down, they wanted to, it's all about maximizing, and having that hook of a song, and they did it, they goal accomplished.
Yeah. I mean, look, wrestling is a funny industry in that there are some things that are, let's just be honest, over the top and really silly
Yeah.
that can happen in there. But there's been the theory that I've heard from wrestlers that go down two paths. As one, you can look at this and say it's silly, and then I can try to do it but not really have my heart into it, and it comes off like crap. Or two,
Right.
it can be silly, and you give it to me, and I just decide, you know what, I'm gonna make this work. And
And
somehow
that's what we did. Yes.
he
Mhm.
decided to make it work and just go with with the do the rap the best he could, and now even to this day, like I don't think that they've changed the music for Cage Heat. Cage Heat still has the same theme song.
Yep.
Some
It's like, why break something that ain't
15,
broke?
16
I mean,
years
why
later.
fix something that's not broke?
Because, well, I guess not. Because I remember talking to Kinnear a couple of years ago, and one of the things she said, "Well, wait till you hear my new song." So I was like, "Okay." Well, I was thinking that everybody's getting new songs, but not Cage Heat. Cage Heat's got the same
No,
deal.
not same thing until that shift or something happens. But yeah, I think they just kind of said, let's just stick with it, and it would have, we're evolving, so that's definitely something that's going to be probably updated if needed. So but that's interesting. Yeah, that it didn't something that's not broke. Why fix it? But and one of those things is kind of like that familiarity and kind of that what's the word, nostalgic, like, oh my God, that's funny, like But when I'm saying that, we made things work. I mean, we've got things that we were supposed to say that you look on paper and you're like, not everybody can deliver this the way Delta and I did, and I think it was because of our commitment as actors, our commitment as wrestlers, and wanting to make the show go. It was all about, and I think that's why we had the same vision of like, we just want this to go. We want this to really flourish and create a pioneer for other women wrestlers to come on through that, can do it.
Okay. Yeah. How did you guys settle on the finish for the team? I've always wanted to know that because it's, I know over the course of time with most wrestlers that I come across and meet, whether they be singles or in a team, that's usually something that they kind of find, like, I do this move better than I do anything else, and okay, this will be my finish. But you guys essentially had a relatively short amount of time to produce Cage Heat, come up with the look, the feel, the finish. What are we gonna do when we get done with the matches, and not just you as in Cage Heat, but everybody on the Wild roster pretty much had to produce this stuff fast. And I'm guessing within 2 months' time, and that's really really quick. But how did you guys settle on? Okay, this is what we're gonna do when we're done with the match. We're gonna hit this. We're gonna hit hard times, or we're gonna hit capital punishment, which is the moves that were most associated with you.
Right. I think, well, like I said, Selena Majors had a solid vision, and David McLean completely believed in her, and I think they make a good team. And then not to mention Jeannie Buss, who's always believed in she really wanted she wants a legitimate women's wrestling league, and for her to stand by us and through all the trials and tribulations, for her to still stand by us was always nice to have that support. So I think I just really trusted everything about WOW, and I just did what they told me to do, and if something, of course, when it comes to a move or whatnot, if something was uncomfortable but a lot of times, it was about who we were wrestling and who wanted to take what. They were like, like, I ain't taking that. It used to be a joke where they were like, oh, we survived Cage Heat because something would always go down. Not like someone would get hurt, but it was just like that everyone wanted to wrestle us, and they didn't care, what they were, and everyone was down with the storyline. We didn't have, people coming in and be like, I don't like that storyline, and I don't, I want this or I want that. And it was like, hey, you don't say how it goes. So a lot of the times with the finishing, it was whether people like, no, I don't want to take that. They respected it. It's like, all right, then you're gonna get the hard time then if you don't trust, or this or that, But I think a lot of times, and we gave that freedom of like, you're gonna go down, you can choose how. So I think we gave them that freedom. So, and like I said, Selena just was very solid and, was specific and gave the people the freedom of like, yeah, you're going to go down to either this or that. So choose. And we were cool. Like I said, we weren't, Delta and I were just so, our chemistry was just so amazing that there was no like, well, I want to do that. No, I want to do that. It's like, no, man, whatever works. We're all about the storyline. So, and some people don't agree with that. You know, that's why people have beef. Like, well, I don't want to, you know, lose to this or whatnot. It's like, okay, well, we'll see. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so
Got to respect the storyline.
was that the primary reason that KG carried 2 finishing moves? Because
I'm gonna have to. I think so. I think so. So now that I'm, you know, in hindsight, thinking back, you know, I never really thought about that, but yeah, I believe so.
okay. You know, just to bring this current for a second before I forget, because you know I know WoW is still kind of revamping and coming back around
Yeah.
and doing new things and whatnot. And I know that you personally may not be a part of this particular event, but I want to bring it up anyway. The WrestleCade, which comes on, which isn't
Yeah.
a WoW event per se, but WoW will participate in WrestleCade. WrestleCade is a pretty
Yeah.
big event for a lot of independent wrestling promotions just across the country, and a lot of guys, I guess the most comparative thing would be like it's a convention for wrestlers and wrestling fans, and you get the chance to
Sure.
put on your show. And for the first time, WoW is going to participate in WrestleCade,
Yeah.
which for me kind of rings the toll of the promotional philosophy of WoW kind of changing. I don't know if that's a conscious thing or not, because up until this point, WoW had always kind of operated as if there was no other wrestling promotion out there in the world. It just kind of existed in its own universe. But now,
It's on it. Sure.
yeah, yeah. But now you have uh, 2 matches that are coming on over there. There's Jungle Girl
Uh-huh.
is going to be wrestling Amber O'Neal, which should be a really good match.
Uh-huh.
And I'm
Yep.
gonna go ahead and put my predictions down now. So you know, if you're listening and you're going to WrestleCade, I will not be able to get there this year. That is the problem. I won't be able to make
Oh.
it this year. I wanted to. I was like, it made me sick too, man. I was like, oh man, you're gonna finally come over here to
Yeah.
this coast, because I like Jungle Girl, and I hadn't had the chance to see her wrestle live. I wanted to go just for that, but I'm gonna put the money on Jungle Girl for that one. And then the next one is Steffi Slaves and the Beast, and you know, all due respect to Slaves, but I'm calling for the Beast. I think it's probably going to be a little bit more than a squash in that particular
Oh
event.
boy.
Uh,
Yeah, it'll be a long match of a squash. That's it. You know, it's not going to be like a 3-minute thing. It's probably, oh boy. Yeah.
I think yeah, the Beast might run her through.
Yeah, sorry, Steffi Slaves, but I think the Beast is going to take her down too. So as far as Jungle Girl and Amber, that's you know, Amber O'Neal's a veteran too, and that's going to be a damn good match. So we'll see. We'll see what's going to go on with that one.
I think so. I think it'll be a good one. But and you know, I'm also going to put my apologies out to Steffi in case you happen to hear this interview. You know, it's nothing against you personally.
Sorry.
I just I don't know. I think that the Beast is going to be pretty much, it might be tough to handle. Is there any particular reason that you could think of that WoW is kind of changing its philosophy? Is it just trying to come up to current with wrestling as it is today, or is it, had they
Yeah,
decided?
I think it's part of this revamp and part of getting, you know, onto this time of social media and of global, you know, network of the internet, that, you know, we don't have to be so worried about TV network. You know, it's just, I always felt like we were, you know, limiting ourselves once, you know, of course during that time, you know, syndication was huge, you know, so the fact that WoW was syndicated was just like, whoa, that didn't happen. And nowadays, forget it, television shows they're up for 12 episodes, and maybe they'll get canceled. It's so hard to have a long-running television show now. So now with the internet and Hulu and Amazon, Netflix, I feel like, you know, the business move of WoW is in a really good direction. We've got really good, you know, the new media. We have a new media team. And I think during this big hiatus, it's like, wow, we're so lucky to still be around, to still have a reputation, whether it's good or bad. If people are talking about it, that's good for me. And I think that they're finally opening the window to the WoW universe, where it's like, hey, people, let's let some people in, and let's venture out to that too, and give the fans what they want. And I think it's really smart that they're doing WrestleCade. I'm really happy. I'm too bad that Cage Heat didn't come out there, just where circumstances are and storylines, but yeah, I think it's a smart business move that say, hey, hey, we're still here, and we could be part of this. We were just at the Stan Lee's Comic-Con. I was there with some crew, newbies and old school girls, and it was nice to be like, okay, people still care, and people want us to go somewhere. So
absolutely.
I think it's new media, change.
Okay, yeah, I absolutely think that. I believe a lot of fans, as you just said, still know and still care. If there's anything that I thought that the fan of WoW kind of, some of them, I can't say all, but some of them
Sure.
seem to kind of bleed Glow and WoW together, and they don't, and I know they don't really mean to, but just going based off of some of the comments that people will say, it's like a few of them really have a difficult time telling one from the other. So, but
I know.
because you'll read the
Yeah.
comments like, "Oh man, I love KC. When are they going to take on, I don't know, the, the Heavy Metal Sisters or something like that?" I was like, "Yeah, that's the wrong
Right.
show."
Right. When is Hollywood and Vine gonna go? Yeah, I hear that.
Exactly. I was like, "When are they coming back?" I was like, "That's Glow. That's different. I know it sounds the same,
Yeah,
but
when we first came out, wow, and I would tell people like, oh, I'm with Wow. They're like, oh, and I literally would say Wow, and they'll be like, oh, Glow. I'm like, no, Wow. Like it's totally different, but it's still like, okay, it's amazing. It's still, and then but I don't get mad at it. I get happy because I'm like, wow, you still Glow still has this, residual vibe of women's wrestling. They Glow paved the way for WoW, obviously. David McLean saw the show going in a different direction, and he said, hey, you go that way, I'll go this way, because David McLean he loves women's wrestling, and he's great at what he does with commentating, and not everybody may agree, but he loves, and he's been, by the mat since he was 16 years old. So it's like, he talk about another person that has a specific vision. That's why I think Selena Majors and David McLean made a good team, because they respected each other's vision and respected each other's business. And so if it wasn't for Glow, WoW, WoW wouldn't be here. So I definitely, respect to that. But some people just don't know the difference, and I think it's just time.
oh yeah.
It's like, oh God, no.
Well, I think that's the
Yeah.
the really casual, really casual fan that you're like, oh yeah, okay, so where's the Glow crown at?
Yeah.
Stuff like that. They don't
Yeah.
really understand that there's a difference between the two. But that's not a bad thing, because I've said before.
No.
I think I talked to you about it. I think WoW is essentially the spiritual successor to Glow in some regards.
Yeah. Absolutely.
So that, again, that's not necessarily a bad thing. And as far as
No.
you said it, so I have to comment on it. As far as some fans not particularly caring about McLean's commentary, well, now that's going
Right.
to be a matter of opinion, based on how you grew up and where you're
Yeah.
from. I know some people who like that type of style, but they're oftentimes the ones that grew up watching WWF back in the day,
Right.
which is very kind
Right.
of colorful and loud and over the top.
Stylized.
Yeah,
Sure.
and then you have people like me who grew up listening to guys like Gordon Soley and Jim Ross, where they called it as if it were a sport. And so
Right.
so depending on where you're from, and certainly not to put myself over. But if you were going to compare the two, McLean's commentary and my commentary are probably as polar opposite as you could be. It's just,
Right. Yeah, yeah. And, being, and I just think that you were saying, wrestling, some people just don't, like you said, depending where you're coming from or, what you grew up watching and stuff like that, for me, it's like it's over the top, and it's the point where it's that fine line of being over the top and believing. And I think that's where the magic and the talent lies with wrestlers and commentators. It's like, so I felt like he was, for me, I think he's genius at what he does and how he can just, make things over the top and make things work and bring things together. I'm entertained by him, So I like over the top and bringing me in, but not to say that we are a sport and not to respect it as a sport. So I get your angle too. Yeah.
Oh yeah, well, that's what I said. When I grew up in the era of Jim Ross when he was here in Atlanta and calling for WCW, and you would listen to him, and he would call everything. It was like listening to a football game,
Yeah.
So
Yes.
my emulation of commentary basically leans more towards that. Is more sports based, I guess, if you want to say that much.
Yeah.
So so I mean, there's no right and wrongs in this thing.
Right.
It's a matter of what
Exactly.
you like.
Exactly.
You also said that you guys got some newbies on there. I want to make sure that I mention them, or at least the ones that I'm aware of, before we move on, just to kind of put the promotion over that. That is one of the big pluses there, and and I'm gonna give some credit to WoW as we kind of move along here. Is that
Thank you.
it always seems to be in recruitment mode.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's a good way to put it. Yeah.
You'll turn around and you'll just see, hey, I didn't know that y'all had this person here. So the ones that I'm aware of, the Beast, we just talked about her because she'll be working a match.
She's fantastic.
And at WrestleCade, that's November 25th for anybody that's interested. And I believe that's in North Carolina. I can't remember right now.
Yeah, if you're in North Carolina or anywhere near there, you guys got to see this Beast up in life. I mean, I'm on her side. That's the show. I ain't picking that one off. That's cool by me. But yeah, she's fantastic and works hard and definitely something to see in life. The new season of WoW will be coming out very soon, and you'll see Beast there online at WowE.com. So.
So,
of course, the other one's Steffi Slays, as you mentioned.
Oh yeah, she's gonna be taking on Steffi Slays there. Who's the other? Oh, Kayla Lee Burchell. Most fans would know her as Kayla Lee Burchell or Winner if they watched her on TNA, but she's Temptress now, and she's part of a newly formed tag team, the Vengeful Vixens, as I guess with Dagger. Also,
correct.
Samantha Smart, I saw her. I don't really know her backstory necessarily, because I haven't seen any videos or any information posted on her.
Yeah, she's good. She'll be. She's slowly getting introduced. Yeah, she's another one that's a hard worker and we'll see what comes up with that one. But she doesn't really have anything, storyline just yet. But as far as there's something going on. But what we'll discover as well.
Well, just keep in mind, again, for those who happen to be in the area for WrestleCade, you can always go to WrestleCade.com for the free plug for them, and you can get the information about what's going on and the matches and all that good stuff like that. And then this is taking place over a 3-day weekend, so if you're going, make sure that you check them out. I think they actually start on the 24th. They'll end on that Sunday. And they have a lot of things happening there, to say the least, including WoW. So, I mean, you got a ton, literally just a ton of guests that you could be picking from. I mean, For those of you that's on this listening to this, I'm sure you're concerned mostly about the ladies that'll be there, of course. But they have some legends. Brandy Wine's going to be there. Casey Carlisle's going to be there. You know,
Be great.
so I mean, you got a lot. Terry Funk. I mean, come on, you can't not have that.
Great weekend.
Kia
Wrestling
Stevens,
fans for sure.
So yeah, you know, it's just a plethora of people that's going to be out there. I really regret that I won't be in it, but
I know. I feel bad for you.
Cage Heat
I
was
wish I was
supposed to have.
going to.
Cage Heat should have had a match. Why didn't you take the booking? Why didn't you go out there? You could have had a tag team match.
I know. Well, dealt a lot of pain. God bless her career after WoW. She's just stunt queen and is just has always doing a movie. I mean, she's did all the Captain America, and she's on a new Stranger Things, doing the opening scene of Stranger Things, doing some driving. She's lit herself on fire and different stuff. So she is busy. So that's what's going on with that as far as, us getting together for that. And she has a son, and it's Thanksgiving weekend.
Oh, yeah.
So she wants to be with a family, and I can't be mad at that. So with timing.
But you know what? Now I'm just going to put this out here because WoW is going out there representing as a group, as are a bunch of other wrestling promotions, Queens of Combat, AML, and so on and so forth. I know this it could have been a one-time thing, but let's just say that you could have tagged off, you could have gone and for one night only tagged with say the Beast.
Right. I don't know. It's not. I'm like, no. I'm like, KT's KT, but I don't know. It's just so weird how I'm just so, so not. I don't want to say stuck, but it's just like no, like that's Delta's my jam. I did a what you'll see in season 5. You'll see when that comes out. I don't want to do any spoilers alert, but it's really weird to go from I know I could tag with someone else, but it's just like it ain't the same. It's just not the same.
I know. It's not the same. I just know that sometimes circumstances calls for that. I mean, some of the biggest tag teams that we've ever seen have had that substitute every once in a while. But I know it's not a necessity here. So just curious. I was trying to get you an open door into there, or you could have gone out there and worked a singles match, maybe. Open challenge against any of the girls from any other promotion. That would have been interesting if WoW had gone out there and said, "We'll take on anybody." The WoW Championship is up for grabs against anybody that wants it. I'm just saying. WrestleMania weekend's coming. Y'all might have to do it again.
Right. True. I don't know. It's something now. You got my wheels turning.
But
it's just weird.
I know. But okay, let me get back on track here. I know I've talked up WoW for quite a bit there, so we're gonna go backwards.
Thank you.
So we're gonna go backwards into your career, going back to the original run of Cage Heat on the WoW program, and I do want to touch on something that you said earlier. I know we talked about it before, that you cannot undersell the fact that you and Delta were on a television show which was nationally syndicated, which at the time was a big deal.
Huge.
Syndication was still in full force. It wasn't. I think it was starting to make its downturn within the next 2 to 3 years following that, but it was still big. It was still a big deal. You had shows like Baywatch and Star Trek: Next Generation and Hercules, Legendary Adventures, and Xena. All of these are first-run shows which did well off of syndication.
Yeah, huge.
So let's take it back to episode 1, the first appearance of Caged Heat which this the first appearance that you guys had, you went against the first version of the Beach Patrol.
That's right. It was the first version. Yes.
Because they did swap a member
Yeah, I think it was
later on.
Yep. I believe what happened with that, I think maybe their same thing. I think there was somebody who got maybe there was a different formation for what were they called? Beach Patrol, right? Beach Patrol. I think something else happened. I don't know what happened because, like I said, I walked in all late. I walked in. There was already some history happening. There was drama going on that I was like, I don't know nothing. So something happened with that, and that I know it was Sandy. I don't know what the other girl was because the other girl ended up being Wendy Wheels. So yeah, it was Cage Heat versus
Summer.
Beach Patrol with
Summer.
Yeah,
she played Summer originally, and think she transitioned over into being Wendy Wheels following that.
Correct. Yeah. So yeah, that was the first match and the only match that we didn't really lose. We got disqualified. So.
Well, that is correct.
Yeah.
So
yeah, it was Wendy. Yeah, whatever her name, Beach Patrol.
So yeah, Cage Heat would have the first match of the first show. And lose by disqualification after refusing to stop the excessive punishment that they were laying on the Beach Patrol.
Like, come on, you gonna throw us a couple of bimbos? Come on.
I saw that, and like I said, I went back and I looked at a couple of these, and I'd never even paid attention to the fact that Sunny was Wendy Wheels. I was like, oh damn, that is her.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
And for those that didn't see it, Beach Patrol was basically a Baywatch gimmick, which was still airing at the time.
Yeah.
Speaking of syndicated television, what do you remember about Beach Patrol?
What do I remember about Beach Patrol? Oh gosh, I just remember tying them up in the ropes. And what else? I really don't really remember much about Beach Patrol. I just know I was like, oh, okay, these are the girls we're gonna wrestle first. I was like, they're going down. But yeah, I mean, it was a fun for them, but for the company to have, I think it was smart to have a gimmick like that.
well, yeah. If you're having an all-female company, well, let's find a way to stick them in bathing suits. So Beach Patrol.
Yeah,
that works.
But still, still saving lives.
There you go. Still saving lives, even if we are on dry land. But it's fine. So you have that, and that would be essentially the first and only, within that season, the first and only loss that Cage Heat would have. You would go on to wrestle on, I think, another 5 shows, and all in succession, basically just cutting through the competition. Was it decided up front? I know you said that Selena Majors was a big fan of the team, but was it decided up front, like, hey, Cage Heat is going to be our team. We just need to set them up for the championships. Was that kind of the way that it went, or did they just grow into it?
You know what? I would have to say they must have grown into it because everything happening so fast, and then having certain storylines and seeing what would go over or whatnot. But I think we kind of grew into it because it wasn't sure if we would go over, and then I feel like because we were so fun to watch and we were such good wrestlers that I think we kind of grew into. I don't think anything had time to be set up, especially with things changing, like you were saying, events, circumstances. All of a sudden, we got to go left instead of right now. So I think Selena knew that we would, hopefully go over the way she wanted, and we proved to. So I think we kind of grew into it.
Okay.
Yeah.
What was more important as it related to the office kind of determining who was doing what, who was popular. I mean, were they paying attention to, okay, how many people have paid their money to come into the forum, or were they looking at ratings? Were they looking at emails that came in, which was kind of in the beginning stages at the time? But what were they basing team or personal popularity off of, if you can recall?
I think I was getting, if what I can remember, or what, like I said, I was so late in the game, and I was just so happy to be there, and I just wanted to do what they asked me to do, that didn't get too caught up in all that stuff. But what I can remember was definitely with a fan. Yeah, it had to have been from the forum, and it has to be from emails of people, writing in and saying, oh, we like this person, or we don't like that wrestler, or blah, 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 blah. Like I said, bad news is still good news. If if they didn't like a wrestler, I think that wrestler was doing their job if they were a heel. But it had to have been from the fans, because otherwise, it wouldn't gone over. So yeah, and and our fans doubled. I think we had, I believe, the first round, because we wanted to make sure for television that those seats were filled, that the first show was some of them were paid audience, and then after that, it just doubled, and our fans just doubled and doubled each time, and people didn't realize how fun, if you weren't aware of it, how fun wrestling is when you go and see it live. The theater of the round, the way I look at it as an actor. It's like, man, we're giving you top theater with action.
Yeah, that is a good way to look at it. Cage Heat, the team, would come back at episode 6, and the next team that you guys took on would be Farrah the Persian Princess and Paradise, which was essentially a squash match. And Cage Heat would beat them up, and this is the main event of the show. And you guys were just putting them down to kind of move on. Did anyone have any issues taking the beating from Cage Heat that you're aware of? Like, man, can I get some offense in, or were they perfectly fine with it?
You know what? I don't remember any beef at all, and if they did, I didn't know about it. Like I said, people were like, WoW was such a good, the first team of ladies, I mean, we were such a family and well respected, that there really wasn't any beef. I think people were fine that we were just going to beat you down, Yeah, they were pretty fine. As far as I remember, they were fine with it, because I don't remember any beef at all.
Okay, yeah, because they took one. I mean, I went back and watched some of the stuff, and for those of you that want to see, just toss it up in YouTube. They got the clips out there, but they
That's
just
hilarious.
Came in kind of, as far as the biggest beating of a team. I think they took it as far as all the episodes, Farrah and Paradise. Well, no, actually, episode 8, I forgot that you guys come back in, and
Asian Invasion.
Asian Invasion. They were the next team up. Cage Heat wins again this time with the Hard Times clothesline, which is essentially there's like 2 different ways that y'all would do that. You would do it one, and this is for the wrestling fans out there. One would be Delta hold the opponent up. You'd run off onto the ropes, and then you jump up and hit it, much like the heart attack clothesline. And then there's the one that you go to the top rope and come off that way, which is essentially set up the same way, but kind of like the Doomsday Device in reverse. And then there's Capital Punishment, which is like 3D for those that were wanting to know that.
3D, Jumpy Boy.
There you go. And so you beat Jade with the Hard Times clothesline. You hit Lotus with the Capital Punishment after the match is over. This is part of the first round of the tag team tournament, and it should be noted that regardless of what people would say about the skill set of the Asian Invasion, they took some pretty bad bumps in this match.
That match is, I remember Lotus saying something. I think she didn't really want to take the Capital Punishment, but she did anyway. And I remember, I think in that match, It's funny. I think she was supposed to take something from the top rope from Delta, because we were both crazy. I go back, I go, oh my God, things that we would do. We all just climbed on the top rope, not thinking twice. And she was supposed to take like a leg drop where she like flips and she lands on her. But I think Lotus moved. She's like, I don't think that was supposed to happen. She was like, she bailed out afterwards. And I think because of that, I was like, you're taking the punishment. So that was one of those things. Like, that's all I can remember on that one. That's funny.
Oh,
like,
okay.
Now you're taking the punishment. And she took it.
So because
she
she
got
was,
thrown out real hard.
yes, she
Yeah.
did. Now that one I wanted to bring up twice. It's like 2 times in that match. You tossed her out of the ring and she flew. The second time that she went out there, I think she went over the rope and kind of flipped down and caught her head on the bottom rope. That's what I was like. She took some nasty bumps.
Something. Yeah, so I think we had some moments in there where I'm like, So I don't know, maybe that was a no receipt kind of moment. I'm not sure. So yeah, that's funny. We go back memory lane. I'm like, oh yeah, that's right.
Well, I see. I think the statute of limitations has passed on that. If we're going to talk
Yeah.
receipts and whatnot, but I had to give it up for her. I mean, because Lotus, I mean, she really did a job in there, and
She sure did.
yeah, she might have gotten out of the way of what she's supposed to have taken, but that
she got it later.
She
got it later. Yes, indeed.
And I'm going to say,
yeah, I mean,
for anybody that's listening, go and just Google episode 8 WoW, and it's come up. You'll see it in the thumbnails. Asian Invasion versus Cage Heat. Just kind of scan to the match, and you'll see the bump that I'm talking about. Because I mean, keep in mind, I know some people. You're an actor, you're a wrestler, so you'll understand what I'm talking about. When things are done right, it looks seamless, especially when when you're acting or you're doing it in the ring. Both of those things, when you do it correctly, it looks seamless and it looks easy, and it's not really giving credit for how dangerous it can be, especially in a wrestling ring. I mean, people have gotten hurt.
Good point.
Over simple things like running into the ropes or
stupid things.
A body slam.
It's always stupid things. Yeah, tripping over the apron. Hopping down the apron. Like, what just happened? Getting tossed over. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. It's true.
So yeah, it doesn't take anything massive to cause an injury. So when you have that in mind and you look at how Lotus did a header over the top.
Sorry, Lotus.
I'm just saying she deserves some credit for taking that bump.
Oh yeah, anybody who was in there, taking, going in there and we're working with each other, got to give credit. Jade, give ultimate credit too. She just got beat, and was never worried. Was always down to try stuff, and she took a beating and was fine with the storyline, where she's like, you're I guess you're never gonna win, and she was like, okay, but like I said, I in hindsight, like didn't know any of that stuff in the office and production and storylines and all that stuff. I was just like, oh, okay. I remember watching wrestling, and yes, you got to have a good storyline and you got to stick by it, and trust it. Some wrestlers don't want to trust it and get selfish or whatnot, and then you see their careers go bye-bye.
Yeah. But, unfortunately, it wasn't the case, at least initially here, nothing that anybody did in the ring here caused that. That was just, outside forces that kind of reared its ugly head.
Exactly.
But again, okay, episode 8 is the beginning of your run towards the tag team championships. Episode 14 saw Cage Heat versus Roxy Powers and Tanya the Warrior Woman, which is probably the first competitive match Cage Heat had been in up until that point.
Yeah, we're getting some moves in on us.
Yes.
Yeah, I talk about when I see that one. That's the one match that I cringe because I got injured during that match. I got tagged in, and my first move is my whole thing was, I'm gonna get you in the stomach and take control real quick. And I partially tore my PCL right in the beginning of that. And Roxy Powers, physically she's just like a god, and had championship written all over her, and was beautiful, is beautiful, but she was a bit heavy to wrestle at times, if I'm using the words properly, and I had to work a little extra. And then with my injury, and I didn't want to believe it, because you're in it, your adrenaline's going, and and throughout that whole match, and so when I look back and watch that match, I remember what I was thinking because of the pain. And all my stuff was on my knee. I had like an elbow off the top, second rope, and going off the ropes and elbowing, and I think I filmed some stuff afterwards with complete, because I didn't want to believe that I didn't want to tell anybody really, and until afterwards I was like, I can't walk, something's wrong. But yeah, Roxy Power. Yeah, they got in some stuff in that one. You're right. Tanja got me around and threw me around, and yeah. Oh, Roxy Powers.
Who to this day is still in like immaculate condition. I mean, I saw her.
Oh,
her
freaking
Instagram
Jungle
thing.
Girl.
Yeah.
I haven't even, more about Roxy than I do. I don't even, it's funny because sometimes I don't even know people's real names. We all the OG wrestling girls, we still call each other by our names. My phone, if anyone was able to find my phone, they'd be like, what the hell? Poison Ivy, what's her name? Ice Cold, be like, who does this girl know? So to this day, I'm still like, I don't even know until you tell me the wrestling name. I'm like, oh, yeah. But you would know more about Roxy. But, of course, Jungle Girl, great shape. Lana Star, great shape. It's almost like she didn't age. Jade is in great shape. You know what? Most of the girls are still in great shape, even after having some babies. I'm just like, what? Yeah. How does that happen? Jungle Girl being one of those freak of nature. Yeah.
Yeah,
so,
I have to agree. And Natalie is her name. I know she has her.
That's Roxy.
That's Roxy.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, Natalie. Okay. Yeah.
You can,
see, I never called anybody by their real names. I mean, yeah, by their name.
Natalie YCO
to this
on
day,
Instagram.
people call me Cher, and I'm like, I respond to Loca before that. What'd you say about Natalie?
I said Natalie YCO on Instagram is where I ran across her. So I was trying to grab an interview off of her as well, because you're right. I mean, she's one who, I guess, just by her presence had champion written all over her. It didn't work out that way, but but hey.
Yeah, exactly. I'm just like, who knows? I really don't know why or what, and again, in hindsight, like I said, I was a kid in a candy store about just learning everything and falling in love with wrestling. The minute I stepped on that mat, I'm just like, I love wrestling so much. So at that time, like, I didn't know any drama or what or why. Who knows? I really don't. I don't know what. Maybe if we had more seasons, she would have been. I'm sure.
Well,
I'm sure.
That's true. That's a good point. She might have been positioned to be a champion at that point.
Absolutely. I could so see that. Absolutely. A lot of people had some opportunity, but that's definitely one of them. So.
There's one thing that you used to like to do.
Slam dunk.
In your matches, there's one thing that you used to like to do all the time, and I was slam your opponent and then walk over them. Did anybody ever like, hey, look, you're not walking over me today?
Well, they wouldn't say no. I remember, I don't know who it was, but I did it, and she was like, "Oh, I wasn't ready for that." I was like, "What do you mean you weren't ready? That's not my job. Like, I'm gonna do it. Like, is that you saying like you don't want me to do it?" But no, I did it still. Nope. And if you were, sometimes I think I remember some people I like would push their hip down, like, you better feed me your stomach, because I'm gonna step on your hip. I ain't stopping me from walking over you.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. Oh, belittling my opponents. How fun.
I see, but you also took a bad rap in the head from Tanya, who was really good with her spin heel kick.
With her kick?
Yes.
Yeah,
She,
yeah.
she
To
wrapped
this
her.
day, my mom still thinks that like I was gonna die. She was like, "Oh my God," Yeah, she gave me a good one.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
saw it. I mean, and again, it's caught on video. You can see that thing connect right there on the chin. She was wrapping legs around people's heads with that thing.
Yeah, that was a good take, and she was really happy that about her putting it. Who knows? Maybe they, like I said, I have no idea. Maybe they said something and said, "Hey, we want to get some offense in. I want to get my moves in," and maybe that's why they had the most in that match. You don't know, but we didn't give any beef. We're like, okay,
Oh no, I mean, like I said, up until this
we're still
point,
gonna beat your ass.
yeah, KG still won. Let's get that clear. But
Yep.
yeah, but up until that point,
Yep.
there were no teams that had been competitive with KG. This was the first competitive match that KG had had. Now, of course, that the trend would continue. You would still have some competitive matches later on, but this is the
Yeah,
first.
yeah.
So Tanya takes the capital punishment. She goes down. You guys get the pin. You advance. You go to the next round. The next match following that one will be episode 16, which is, I guess you skipped one and went to the next week, which is Cage Heat versus Becky the Farmer's Daughter and Bronco Billy. This match is interesting because it is, I guess, the semifinals of what would have
Uh
been
huh.
the tournament, and it also was basically there to set up two angles. One, getting Cage Heat into the finals of the pay per view, and two, setting up the angle for
Jungle
Bronco.
Girl.
Yeah, there you go,
Yeah.
Jungle Girl and Bronco
Oh,
Billy. I mean, not Bronco Billy, Becky the
right.
Farmer's Daughter. So you
Becky
had
the Farmer's Daughter.
you had those two things going, but and this is probably
But she ran in. Yeah, yeah. She had to run
exactly.
in.
Yeah, the first time that Cage Heat was being threatened to lose.
Exactly. And if Jungle Girl didn't come in, yeah, it would have been a possibility. Yeah, Delta was carrying Cage Sheet that on that match because I was straight up totally injured, and thank God for our outfits that I was able to cover up my knee pads and my wraps and all that stuff. And I go back. I don't do much wrestling. I don't do much, and Delta had to carry me on that one. I remember. I still stepped on Becky though.
Yes,
I still.
but she was all over the
What
place.
an incredible athlete. Becky
Yes,
the Farmer's Daughter is in what? She is fantastic. I gotta say, I was like, damn, you're good.
and she was all over the place, just bouncing all, just
She's
leapfrogging and all sorts of stuff.
fantastic.
So, lots
She
of
is
athleticism.
great. Absolutely, absolutely. Beautiful and athletic, and I was just couldn't be happier to be part of WoW.
But
But yeah, we were threatened. We thank you, Jungle Girl, for making some beef for the splash match.
so yes, there you had it. You had Becky going up to the top rope, getting ready to nail her splash. Jungle Girl comes out with a run in, tosses her off, and then Delta does her somersault leg drop from the top rope,
Yep.
nails
Yes.
Becky, and then Cage Heat advances to the finals, which, like I said, this is the first time Cage Heat was threatened to lose, but they kind of eked out a win here, which takes you into the pay per
Yeah.
view,
Good
which
old pay-per-view.
which we won't go into the specifics of the pay per view, but not in great detail. But needless to say, it was kind of a make or break event for a while. Unfortunately, in this particular instance, it came to break, or at least it put it into a severe hiatus, as it, this was the thing that kind of became a pivotal point for the company. But all that said, and I'm sure anybody that's listening can go and hear any number of reviews on that pay-per-view, so you're welcome to go do that. The numbers for the buy rates, et cetera, out there. And believe me, I understand, and I know what some people are thinking about it right now. But and I've talked about it on occasion, but I'm going to kind of skip past that. So at the pay-per-view is Cage Heat taking on Harley's Angels. Let me get it right.
Harley's Angels, yeah.
Harley's Angels. And that's Charlie Davidson and Easy Rider. And Cage Heat wins to become the first Wild Tag Team Champions.
And Peggy Leather was part of that. That's when Vendetta slammed Peggy Leather. Yeah, it was the biggest pop of the night. It was intense.
Well, yeah, I don't think anybody expected her to get her up.
Nope, not at all.
All due respect to Thug, not taking those shots at them. All due respect to Thug, I don't think anybody expected her to get up. So here's the interesting.
Oh yeah, Thug. I was calling her by her old name, Thug. That's right.
Oh no, we all know who you're talking about, Peggy Lee. We know Peggy Lee.
Yeah.
But the interesting thing here is that we've got Vendetta, who makes her first appearance as a member of Cage Heat, who, as stated earlier, was an original member of Cage Heat, but this is the first time that we, as the viewing public, actually get to see her, and she is the determining factor in this particular match, because she comes in to make the save for you. Yeah, she drops the elbow off on Easy Rider, switches the pin, and then 1, 2, 3, Cage Heat becomes the champions, and then you got the clean house spot where the original members of Cage Heat knock out the original members of Harley's Angels, leaving the two, I guess, the new member of Cage Heat, Vendetta, with the leader of Harley's Angels, Thug, and then she, as you said, gets the biggest pop of the night when she breaks free of the choke slam, and then she gets up for a big body slam.
Actually, that's right. That is correct. I actually took a choke slam from her that night, and I cracked my rib.
You cracked a rib off of that?
Yeah, I cracked a rib on that one. Yeah, that adrenaline, you go and you don't realize, and when you commit, it's all, and I didn't realize until I knew something was wrong, and for years afterwards I was like, God, what is wrong with me? And then I remember watching that, and I was like, oh, I didn't realize when I watch it again, if you see it, once I take it, you see me, I just grab my side, and then when I was like, that's what happened. I was like, I cracked you can't do anything for a rib, I'm not going to go to the doctor for paying money for them to be like, can't do nothing. So, so I didn't go to the doctor for that, but yeah, cracked a rib on that one.
You tape it up and you take it easy, I guess.
There it is. Vendetta is first, and I never really thought about it until doing this interview with you. Vendetta was always supportive. Like I said, we had such a good team of women of support and athleticism and beauty that I wonder if Vendetta was like, man, I wonder what I would have been with Cage Heat, or because she was such an incredible athlete that she came in, we used her for a different gimmick, as we talked about a little bit before, Sisters of Darkness. So she was masked, so you couldn't tell who she was. But she was just talk about another physique. She was built like Jungle Girl. She was just massive.
Oh yeah. You wouldn't notice that until you see her as part of the Daughters when she's wrestling as Mystery. And once you see her, then you can appreciate her physique at that point.
Yeah. So, big time. Exactly, because she was all covered. I think cut her sleeves off, but she was just. Now, forget it. Now she's married, has a baby, and she's like, you would never think that she was ever a wrestler. The way she was able to like bulk up and like bulk down. Yeah, it's amazing how people's bodies can do that.
Yeah. So, how was the moment winning the championship? Was it just another spot in the show, or did it mean something to you?
Oh, it meant everything to me. You know, it just felt like all our hard work was paid off. You know, and that people were happy for us. You know, it's all about the energy behind things. You know, and I think the energy behind KG was that people, you know, first of all, you know, you got two heels. You know, and it's like, you know, we turned baby face in a, you know, in a weird. It's like we were the meanest, baddest wrestlers, and then here we are, you know, two heels for pay-per-view. And so it meant everything. It was like something that I just never, like I said, knew that I could ever be part of. And I come from, my family is very athletic. I have two older brothers that were just, you know, can play any sport, and I would never thought that I would be the one with a professional contract. I thought for sure my brother would get a baseball contract, and you know, so it was just bananas to have that moment come true. And I had, you know, family fly in, and more importantly, for people that were happy for us. And I think that's nice. And we're like, you know what, you deserve it. So I think that was nice to be like, you know, people were happy about the turnout. So yeah, you know, it's something to be part of a company that was short-lived, and you got to do whatever you can to leave out on top. And I think, you know, Caged Heat did that.
Okay. Yeah, I would say so. They became the tag team champions. So regardless of what goes on, as long as the company exists in some way, shape, or form, they're going to go down as the first ever title holders of WOW Women of Wrestling. So
Right.
that
Yeah.
will remain. So
And because of the hiatus, we're the longest reigning tag team champions. To get back to that.
well, I told you how I feel about that now. It's long, 4,000 days of holding the titles. Yes, I know. but
Yup.
but I won't go off into that tirade right now. Uh,
No worries.
I will repeat though. I think I pitched it to you the last time we talked. I say if it were me and I were writing that story, if I was responsible for that angle, they would. I think Sophia Lopez was the perfect outlet to just get the titles handed back over.
Amen. Oh, I love it. Yes, the best attorney in the world. Yes,
You know,
I adore Sophia Lopez. She's great.
so,
She created that. She wanted to be part of WOW so hard, and she worked so hard, and you know, she knew who to roll by. She was like, I'm gonna roll with Cage Heat. I'm gonna get my angle with those girls. So, and she did it.
Yeah,
She did
and
it.
she's basically the lead heel manager of WoW at this point. But see, and that's why I
Yeah.
said, rather than have the identity of, well, we just held it for 4,000 days. You know, we held these titles since 2001. I would have just preferred, you know, again, if I was responsible for the book, it would have been okay. You know, they never lost it, and since you're revamping the show, they need to get it back.
Mm.
Contractually speaking, they never
Mhm.
lost. It's not their fault that they didn't lose the championship. They shouldn't have to compete for it.
Yep.
So
Yeah.
I thought
Great.
that would have given immediate heat to Cage Heat, just like, hey, you know, we didn't have to fight for it for
Right.
these things. You know, just get them handed back over. That could have just been a nice angle in and of itself, where all the other teams are mad and pissed because you're getting ready to announce a tournament, then that gets nixed. You know,
Yep. Yep.
but hey,
That's true. It was.
that's neither here nor there now. Anyway,
Exactly.
but here we get to an interesting point in the history of WoW, because I'm going to assume that the TV taping schedule after the pay per view pretty much ceased. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's correct. Yeah, my heart was broke, and like I said, I didn't know nothing about the office and production or what or why. I just knew that we were working hard, and and at the time, like nowadays pay-per-views are mostly like UFC fights and stuff. It's not even. It's totally different now, especially with social media and how you can get blah 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 blah. But back then, pay-per-views were a big deal, and people paid for this stuff, and it was heartbreaking. Yeah, it was literally like, we have a job on Friday and then we don't have one on, Monday. So it was heartbreaking. So yeah, it sucked. But the fact that we still, David McClain, and Selena Major still believed and Jeannie Buss to be like, all right, this is not this happened, and now what are we going to do from this on? Instead of completely saying like, wow, never existed, or we folded. It's like, all right, we're on hiatus, and we're not, and then years going by, there was time like, okay, I guess this isn't happening. And then to get that call to be like, hey, this is happening, it was just like, what? Like, for real? Like, this is, we're revamping? Again, I was like, oh my God, this is a dream come true, because the minute I opened the doors to wrestling, it was just something that I was like, I love wrestling. And my loyalty was to WOW. I did train with Jesse Hernandez at School of Hard Knocks, and I was very good friends with Josh Milton, who was our referee, who we got to beat up, and we completely added him into stuff. And I really believe he paved the way for other referees to get thrown into the storylines or get beat up, and you would start to see it in WWF at the time. And not to be on a sad note, but since Josh Milton, rest in peace, he passed away a little over a year ago. But what was my point? Is that we were still around, and that they didn't stop believing in us, Jeannie and David and Selena. Like, they still kept on to that vision, and here we are, and now perfect time with women's movement and, Wonder Woman and almost Hillary Clinton, Clinton going for president. And so it's like, now's the time to really, display WOW the way it should have been. Because I think WOW was maybe the world wasn't ready for us then, but I think now for sure.
Okay. That is interesting points, and you bring up Milton, the referee.
Yeah.
If anybody wants to know who he is, if you scan through the videos, he's probably going to be the ref that took the single biggest bumps for that company. I mean, if there was a ref that was getting knocked around or tossed over the top rope or taking a finish or something like that, odds are it was Milton. So
it was Josh Milton. Even the pay-per-view, he took a drop off the cage. He took a huge drop off the top.
Yes, he did. He took far more bumps than necessary. I mean, my goodness.
Absolutely.
Like, wow.
Yeah, we were really close. We were really close. He taught me so much about just these little things that that I just wasn't aware of, and kind of sharpened up my charm in the ring. And he was a big part of the company. And he reffed all of ours. And then when we did a revamp in Vegas, we brought him in. And that was the last time I saw him. It was the last time I saw him, and I was like, oh my God, here we are again. And I love, I made sure, and he made sure too, like, that he was going to ref Cage Tease. I was like, that was not going to happen. But that was the last time I saw him. Yeah.
Oh.
So heartbreaking. But he loved wrestling so much, and he wanted WOW to go just as much, not for his own benefit, but he just wanted it to take off. He believed in us as well.
Okay. Well, I guess there's no easy transition off of him, so I'm just gonna move backwards.
Yeah.
So coming off of the pay-per-view, like I said, my assumption was that production basically ceased coming out of WoW Unleashed. But there were, I think, 2 other episodes that aired on television following the pay-per-view, which you can only assume, just based on that,
I don't even remember.
that these things were taped ahead of time.
Uh-huh.
Episode 20, which was the Daughters of Darkness versus Cage Heat. Cage Heat wins, which essentially it should be their first title defense, but
Right.
it's never really acknowledged by the announcer. Well, not the, I shouldn't say the announcers. The commentator did it, but the ring announcers. It's never really acknowledged that Cage Heat are the champions at this point. But what happened is, preceding the match, there's a backstage segment that has yourself, Delta Lot of Pain, and Vendetta, and I guess the guard. And rather than come out to ringside with the belts, you hand the belts over to Vendetta, and then you come out, which basically explains why there's no championship belts on Cage Heat at the time. So that's the first interesting note of the match. The second interesting note is that the person that you just handed the belt off to is the person that you're wrestling when you get into the ring. So, well, I mean, it's just funny when you think about it in hindsight, because, of course, like I said, that's kind of taped, and you had the magic of editing. And
right.
Aisha Cross on YouTube posted, because somebody asked just a random comment on one of these WoW videos, and she was the fan that answered. So shout out to her, Aisha Cross. She said Mystery was Vendetta, and Misery was the disciplinarian, which is I'm probably going to mispronounce Nicole's last name. Nicole
Ochoa.
Ochoa. Okay, so you got
Ochoa.
Okay, Nicole Ochoa and Kristen Davidson, who portrayed those 2 individuals. So there's a little bit of a note there for fans who weren't aware. So that's kind of fun. That's kind of a fun thing, because we just hand it to you, and then we go out there and wrestle you in the same episode.
And the same day. Oh my God, I remember that match. I would get so nervous. And I remember, and I just bumped into their manager guy, whatever, who they had someone come out with the Sisters of Darkness, some really tall dude, they're all masked,
The Goon, that's who his name was. I don't know his actual name, but he wrestled. He performed under the Goon.
Yes, that's exactly. But he was actually, such a great guy. And I remember I was getting ill, like, during the match. Like, I was like, oh my God, I think I'm gonna throw up. Like, I have to roll under the ring. You gotta throw me under the ring so I can throw up. And so I got thrown out, and I was like, yo, I'm gonna throw up. Can you throw me under the ring? And he's like, no, you can do this. And he threw me back inside, and I was like, oh my God. I got through it, and the minute I stepped off that mat, there was a bucket waiting for me. I was like, oh yeah, that's another match that I remember very well. But I'll never forget how he was just like, nope. He's like, you're going back in there. I was like, okay.
Wow, okay, so you weren't trying to hear that.
Another little side, a little, like, backstage thing. A sexy, I gave you guys a sexy vision.
well, see that there's another little add-on that people weren't aware of, that you were actually getting sick out there, but you held it together and you finished the match.
Yes, exactly.
So now, the final appearance of Cage Heat on in the original or the first season of WoW takes place in episode 21. Got Caliente and Boom Boom as the final contenders for the titles, and again, basically WoW did the same thing. I'm assuming to kind of explain why the belts weren't actually out there with them.
Right.
You have another backstage segment where it's just the 3 of you and the guard, and you hand the belts over to her, and then her being Vendetta, and then Cage Heat comes out.
Right.
And so now you got Cage Heat versus Boom Boom Caliente. And again, it's not acknowledged over the house mic, but it is acknowledged on the air. So you have the
Right.
you got McLean, and you have Stagger Lee Marshall. I know they didn't call him Stagger Lee at the time,
Exactly.
so Lee Marshall. You have
Lee Marshall.
yeah, you had those two guys, and they're referred to as the champions, even though the house isn't referred to it as the champions.
Right.
So Cage Heat wins the second title defense, pinning Caliente with the Hard Times clothesline. And just before this is done, Harley's Angels comes out and attacks Cage Heat with pool cues.
That's right.
And Cage Heat, for the first time, takes a beat down. I mean, but they get back on your feet and you fight back at some point. But this goes on until security separates it. So I guess the real.
And I think we came in to save Selena, actually. I think we came something with Selena Majors, I think. I think we did like a run-in, I can't remember. If that was that same part.
I think that got cut out. If that
Oh,
happened,
did it? I don't remember.
I think
I remember
so.
something with that.
Because I know.
Oh, okay. So
Selena,
yeah, we took a beating.
Yeah, you took a beating, but they security comes out and they separate Harley's Angels and Cage Heat. But how did it work for you to do this out of sequence? I know you're pretty much used to it because you do acting and you do your scenes out of order, particularly when you're doing movies and whatnot. But did it bother you at this point, like, hey, we're having to tape the repercussions of a pay-per-view match that hasn't occurred yet?
You know what? Honestly, I just went with the flow. It didn't bother me. I guess because I was just trusting that they knew what they were doing, and all right, this is what we got to do. Okay, So it really, like I said, everything was just so new to me that I just went with the flow and just did what they say because I trusted them. So.
Okay.
Yeah, probably why it didn't bother me because of being an actor and you shoot things out of sequence, out of order. So you probably nailed it right in the nose. Yeah, in the head, whatever that term is.
That's right, nail on the head. But in fairness to WoW, I do want to point out that was not an uncommon occurrence in wrestling. So if anybody thought that WoW did that, and why would they do that? Well, that happened in wrestling all the time at that point, especially when. Before the advent of weekly live TV, yes, WoW and Nitro were going on at that point, but you reminded a couple of years, you would have things where WCW, which was local to me, would tape several episodes of WCW Saturday Night, and they would acknowledge championships that hadn't taken place yet.
Yeah, that's crazy. Yeah, so it did do, and exactly, and that's the thing about wrestling and the world of wrestling, how circumstances change all the time because of, I don't know, injury or drama and then, you cut a promo, and that's what's so beauty about wrestling. It's like, you know what, we can fix this with the promo. We can fix this with that because that's what happens, in the world of wrestling. Yeah. So I don't think, we did what we had to do and what the other promotion probably would have done also. Yeah.
That is correct. And Joe Mama on YouTube. That's right. That's his name, Joe Mama. His question was, he thinks that the match was taped ahead of time. So we answered that question for you, Joe. That the matches were taped ahead of time. That's just the way that it was back then. The wrestling, when you weren't doing it live, you had to kind of produce it as best you could, and put the pieces of the puzzle in place when you could. So
exactly, because we care about the fans and we want them. We're asking so much of them already. So it's like we want to satisfy that too. Fans are everything. So
absolutely, and with the exception of the pay-per-view coming into play, it wouldn't have really been that big of a deal.
Right. Yeah, true. Yeah, I agree. You're always going to have somebody to say something, and that's wonderful because it just causes, debate, and discussion and conversation. So, I welcome all those things. So, yeah.
Yeah, so that would be the last airing of WoW. It would go into reruns and kind of, recycle itself over the course of the years in different locations and whatnot.
Yeah.
But that was the last one that would occur for some time. WoW would
Mm-hmm.
then return to production in 2012, which I think the revamped version of it was to include some level of reality TV. I know that the original segments that they had recorded on the original YouTube channel that they had was essentially following the journey of girls becoming WoW superheroes, including I guess
Right.
the then new girls, Keita Rush and Sunshine, and amongst others who I probably can't remember right off the top, Tadvik the Gamer, and so on and so
Mm-hmm.
forth. But it seemed like that changed once it uh, began to air matches, or at least in my opinion. I think I heard something to the effect that there was a full episode of WoW that aired out in Vegas, but that was about it. And then
Yeah. Yeah.
that episode got kind of chopped up and became what we now know as season 2 of WoW. And essentially, each episode consists of one match and a couple of things maybe in front of or behind it, possibly. That
Right.
that fair. So here you are, you're making a comeback some 10 plus years later. And
Yeah.
first off, were you ready for this? Physically, I mean. I
It
know
was
mentally you were.
great. Yeah. I mean, you know what? I was just getting out of an injury myself. I had a soccer injury, and so I was not at my fullest. I didn't let them know because they were been like, no, you're not getting it. So I just got, I was just like, yep, I actually got better, training, and, I got stronger faster because I started to train. But I pretty much kept myself, physically fit. And I just think like I was ready, but at the same time, not. It was just like, whoa, it was so much time has gone, and it was definitely different. It was definitely different. So maybe I thought I was ready, with physically and whatnot, but then getting back in there, I was just like, whoa, like it was definitely a different feeling. Yeah, it was a definitely different feeling, and Delta was, in another state, and so when she came in, I was pretty much carrying us. I had to wrestle Keita Rush, the Bully Busters, and Steffi Slays. So I was dealing with newbies. And then I had another one with, All American Girls with Santana Garrett and Amber O'Neal. And so then I was pretty much carrying all of that. So it was kind of really difficult for me because I was a veteran with the Bully Busters, and then when it came to All American Girls, I was like, okay, they've been on the circuit, they were ready to rock and roll, and it was just like, whoa, like I want to make sure what the hell's going on here. So you definitely can see it. You can definitely see the rust of Caged Heat in those. So for sure, but but emotionally with our heart, we were ready. So. But yeah, I definitely see some rust in there.
I hadn't thought about what you just said, but you bring up a really interesting point. Like, you went from being episode 5, Cage Heat versus the Bully Busters. You went from being basically the
Yeah.
veteran of the ring to,
Mm-hmm.
okay, episode 11, Cage Heat versus All American Girls. The roles reverse.
Exactly.
To where the
Those roles
veterans.
is like boom, and there's a world of wrestling right there. It's like, oh man, now they're the veterans. So yeah, and they were great, but still, it's just I'm all about safety, and making sure we do our job and put up, a good match and to make sure everybody, is good. So.
Was there any particular reason that y'all wrestled with the belts on for like the first 2 or 3 minutes?
I kind of forgot we had them on.
Okay,
Take them off, and then I was like, you know what? Only KC can get away with that.
I mean, it
Only
was great
KC
that
can
they
get away with
acknowledged
that.
it. You know, it's like, hey, they didn't even take the belts off. It was great that the commentators
I was like,
acknowledged
nope. We're gonna wear this the whole time. So I think it got to a point where I was like, oh, I might rip this girl's face off. I'll put her in her headlock because my belt is on.
Okay.
I don't want to rip anyone's face off for real with a belt. So yeah, we kind of forgot.
Okay, so it's
But it was so
just
funny
oversight.
yeah, a little oversight. I just think it's hilarious that Delta and I both did it. Like that just shows you the connection that we have and the synchronicity of like we're just one. That we both did it. We both forgot. Yeah, that's funny. Good eye, Brian. Good
Yes.
eye.
Well, you know, it's all in the research. So, for those who are not aware, Keita Rush and Stephanie La Marvillosa was the Bully Busters, but we now refer to as Steffi Slays, which I can only imagine was changed for marketing purposes, and so people will be able to pronounce it. So there we go.
Yeah, like why you want to have a name that you don't even know how to say it? That's the worst. But yeah, so I'm glad that she changed it.
So well, it's got Steffi Slays. I think everybody can get that one. It's pretty
Yeah,
easy,
for sure.
pretty simple, pretty easy. Uh, so
Yeah.
you got that. Cage Heat wins with the Hard Times Clothesline, episode 9. I mean, excuse me, episode 5. But you go into episode 11, where we talked about the reversal of fortune, where now the other team are the veterans. And for the first time ever, Cage Heat suffers a pinfall loss. They
That
lose.
hurt.
Yeah, the
That hurt my
championships.
soul.
Yeah, I guess so, because the loss came down on Loca following a backspring moonsault from Santana Garrett, which is her finish
Yeah.
on the independent circuit. So this isn't a something she made up or something like that. If you followed her, then you would know that this is what she does.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So we move over to season 3. And it
Right.
begins with Cage Heat starting off a backstage vignette and complaining about the loss, but you come back out with the belts and basically claiming that you're still the champions along with your manager Sophia Lopez. This is a very heavily edited episode for some reason or another. Uh, when she's talking, is doing these flash cuts. Did they just take out stuff that she was saying, or did they like, hey, do it again, or whatever the case may be?
I think it had to do with just doing it. Maybe not understanding. I really don't. I really don't know. I can't remember. But it was probably because she was. I don't even know. If I had to guess, it would probably be like, I don't know what you're saying. Let's do that again, and maybe it changed or
Wow.
something. I don't know.
I may have to
Yeah.
try to track her
Really
down.
talk like that. Yeah, people think like that's oh, like that's funny. I'm like, no, that's actually how she talks. Like, I'm like, I wish we could have subtitles for her because it would be hilarious. Because you don't know what she's saying.
Oh.
So yeah, I got to look back on that. I'm sorry, I don't know how to answer off the top. I wish I knew. I would look back on that and see why was it so heavily edited.
Well, it's just my guess. I mean, it is the hard part is because I am an editor, and I know that from
Right.
the cameras that they were using and the angle wise, like it's probably not all that much they could have done. So they just kind of put in these flash cuts. So it wasn't like they were hiding the fact that it was being edited. It's just how it was. That's what happens.
Yeah.
So anyway, we got that. Cage Heat is saying that they're still the champions, but easily, the All American girls come out. They fight Cage Heat off. They get the belts back. So we leave with the heroes kind of up as the champions. We go to episode 8, Cage Heat versus the All-American Girls again. Cage Heat gets disqualified after hitting Amber O'Neal with Lopez's briefcase.
That's true. Is that what happened?
That's what happened. There was a struggle between a member of Cage
Yes.
Heat and a member of the All-American Girls, and you nailed. I think O'Neal nails her partner, and then there's a struggle for the briefcase again, and then wham, Amber O'Neal gets hit so that the pin doesn't go through. So it was the sacrifice of the loss by pinfall to get disqualified.
Right.
So the All-American Girls walk away as the champions in the third season.
Whatever.
You come back in season 4, which is, I guess, this is the last one, and then we have episode 3, which is supposed to be the beginning of a tag team tournament. So this is the second time that we have a tag team tournament that takes place in WoW, although no teams and no brackets have been announced in this particular tournament. The only thing that we know is that the titles have been vacated because of some dispute that Sophia Lopez has placed as far as the All-American Girls winning.
Tagging.
Yes. That they were illegally tagging because they were tagging each other on various other body parts opposed to the hand or the back. They were tagging on the ankle and the butt and stuff like that. So, so Cage Heat takes on All-American Girls. This is the third go round between these two teams.
Yeah.
So this is the longest feud that Cage Heat has ever had.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah, just a quick note, because I think the All-American Girls actually took their act on the road briefly. I know they wrestled off in Sean. They didn't wrestle as the All-American Girls. They wrestled as the American Sweethearts there, and kind of lost, and they had to separate the team, which would kind of foreshadow what happens here on episode 3. You got Cage Heat, the perennial team of WoW, taking on the All-American Girls to try to get back in the tag team running. And we got a lot of stuff going on in this match. So you got Sophia Lopez representing Cage Heat. You got Lana Starr, who strolls down the ringside. She hands off a briefcase she gets a briefcase from Sophia. She hands that briefcase off to Amber O'Neal. Amber then nails her own partner in the head behind the referee's back and tells basically Delta, hey, you guys are good. Loca makes the cover, you guys win, and then you advance in the tournament. Which essentially Santana Garrett, left for dead because of her, her backstabbing partner, who is now the Beverly Hills Babe.
Right.
So we had a lot kind of taking place in this storyline here. To the best of your knowledge, what other teams could possibly be taking place in this tournament? Because I'm assuming it's still going on, or assuming that it's still to take place. Who else is left other than the Bully Busters?
Yeah, I know. I'm like, well, I think that's why a lot. I really don't know. It's like, okay, we've got to get some tag teams in here, or Cage Heat will just take over again and be like, see, you ain't got nobody for us to wrestle, then I guess we're the champs again. But we got, some things in formation is what I could probably say. And, got, like you say, we're always in recruitment. So, but as far as this point goes, that's where we're at. Yeah, I can't say much because I don't know where they're going with it or what. But it's kind of hard to say.
Okay. I mean, it would just be interesting. I mean, I know that there's a few, I guess now that I'm thinking about it, that can be tossed into play. I already said the Bully Busters. I don't know if Southern Pride still exists.
They do.
Okay, so you got Southern Pride. You have, I don't know what Riot's Girls are named. I'll just call them Riot's Girls. You got Razor and Spike. So
Correct.
And the Vengeful
And
Vixens.
then
So maybe you got 4,
that,
maybe.
yeah, you got 4 so far. Yeah. So there's some as opposed to none. So yeah, and then who knows how people can just maybe want a couple of singles come together. I don't know, but at this point, yeah, that's what we got. Yeah.
Okay, so there is something there. That now
Yeah,
now
there's
whether they will
definitely
be
something there.
entered
Not
into it or not is a different issue, but there's something there, and you got some teams that you can kind of play off of and whatnot. Uh,
absolutely.
we we also have a question from, he doesn't really have a name per se. That
Okay.
this comes directly from YouTube. Um, how can I'm trying to give him credit. Uh,
Hmm.
I mean, the best way I could put it is Nataga I now that's the best way I could
Okay.
that's the best way I could say it. So
Give
I'm
a
just
shout out.
yeah. So,
Okay.
so I'm going to refer to him as that Nataga. If I'm not saying this correctly the way that you wanted it to be said, I apologize. And I also will state now that I am correcting a couple of his questions because he did put in his comment that English is not his first language, and he apologized. So I'm just going to kind of straighten out some of these. If you happen to go onto the page, which he posted these questions underneath the Riot interview. So this is why it's not exactly word for word because of that. His first question was, there's a wild behind the scenes video, which actually is posted online by Vanya, who portrayed Jacqueline Hyde. Uh,
Oh, I love her. Crazy fun.
which there's an interview with her in archives, by the way, if you want to listen to her talk and talk about her time at WoW. Um, she says on camera that Loca's a very crazy character, and you said that that's not me at all. His question is, what person are you in real life, and how did it feel to play Loca?
So what was the first part, and what was it in real life? What?
What kind of person are you in real life, opposed to Loca?
Let's see. Well, it's funny, I'm my father is a retired New York Police Department police officer, so I just thought it was so hilarious that I was playing like the ultimate convict, and
I'm sure he was happy with that.
understanding. What's that?
I'm sure he was happy with that.
Oh yeah, he was happy with it. He was happy. I even like wrote a picture to him like, hey, how can you lock up your own daughter? But let's see. I mean, I'm definitely wild. I'm definitely wild in the sense of I'm loud and I have a voice just like Loca does. And but I got to say that I've got a lot of compassion, and in the sense of I care about the team and I care about people, and with WoW and people in general. I'm a big animal activist. I mean, I'm all about rescue dogs, and I've got a pit and a little Chihuahua, like like a Latina should. And my time as Loca was the best time of my life, and it's still resonating, and it's still wow, changed my the course of my career too. I'm making a choice of do I go down a road of I had to make a choice of being a wrestler or an actor, and I went down the acting road, because of the hiatus and whatnot. But my time with WoW is memorable, and it's still going. So, but yeah, as far as it's obviously, I'm not I don't go break the rules. I don't, even Kate Sheet is not about, we don't steal from people, and we don't just beat anybody up for no reason. We're not bullies, even though we fought them. It's like we're not bullies. We fight for what's right, and that's definitely something that's true for Loca and Cher, where, I'm here to fight the fight, but I'm also will go down if there's something going down and to protect, I'll do it too, but I'm not out there stealing cars or nothing of that nature, so
you're
hope
not
I answered the question.
you're not living the gimmick.
Not living the gimmick.
Okay.
Definitely not living the gimmick, but it definitely opened up roles for me after a while where I still play the convict or the cop. So to this day, if we come out in Shameless, I played a cop in that, and The Mentalist, I'm back in orange. It was kind of funny where they were like, "Oh, you can be wearing orange convict." I was like, "You guys have no idea how much experience I have in this outfit." So they catch me on that. So yeah, and then stunts, do my own stunts if anything, and so yeah, I've got lots of credit to WoW. It's the best time of my life, absolutely, hands down.
You know what I like about Cage Heat is that they are in jail for an undetermined crime. It's like it's never been unveiled what exactly they went in for. It's just that they committed a crime.
Well, yeah, I think they kind of went in for, I think it was, how we used to say, now we can commit assault legally. So I kind of think that we both, were in for some sort of fight that went down, and we just got pinned because it's who we are.
Well, I guess now that's trying to put the pieces together. I don't think they've ever openly acknowledged that, which is probably smart. So
Yeah, they want to put something over us or glorify anything or anything like that. I didn't want to be affiliated with gang and stuff, and I even we didn't. I think we had a move called a drive-by, and I said no, I don't want that. So then they fixed it on the website. I said that's definitely not something that we're associated with or glorified with whatsoever. Me living in Los Angeles, I've dealt with friends and families that had to go through such things that I was like, no, we're not those kind of, we're loud and we'll go down. Like I said, we'll fight the good fight, but we're not beating up anybody or stealing stuff for anybody. So,
Okay.
Or gang affiliated.
Well, that makes sense because I do remember hearing in one of the commentaries that he called what would later become the capital punishment, the drive-by, but that got changed by like the next episode.
Yeah, I think it was. I think it was like a off the rope clothesline where Delta would hold someone. I think it was in the Paradise. I think I did it to Paradise. He called it in that match. I remember because I was bothered. So yeah, and David McClain was totally fine with that. He was like, no problem. There was never. He always wants us to feel comfortable and be safe and comfortable. So there was no problem with fixing that.
Okay. Nataga also wants to know, was there any hard part to playing Loca?
Hard?
Yeah.
Is there any hard parts playing Loca?
Was it difficult?
No, I mean,
I'm assuming he means difficulty in portraying the role.
No, it was so fun. It was like literally when you put on the jumpsuit, and it was like a transformation. My hair got did, and my makeup got done. I was like, So it was super fun. It was not hard at all because of the safe environment, because of my partner. And no, it was absolute dream. Nope.
Okay. His second set of questions. He said, back in 2012 when Mr. McClain planned on restarting WoW, how did you find out about it? I think you answered that briefly, but we're going to just kind of retouch it. Did they come to her, he's speaking about you, and say, hey, WoW's coming back or something like that? And how did she feel about that?
Yeah. So like I said, when they were on hiatus and they did this big turn of the social media, new media team that we've got going on. So literally got the call out of, the blue. And again, I mean, I'm friends with David McClain. So, we would, with Christmas and holidays and birthdays and stuff like that, we would be in contact. So it was always this thing where he said it was going to come back, but then after a while, I was like, okay, I held on to that dream, And then, you know, the call came, and I was like, is it real? Is this really happening? And I didn't, you know, in a positive sense, I didn't believe it until I was in that ring. And the minute I was back in that ring, and we were training at the Biltmore Hotel in Los Angeles, which was one of my favorite places. I love downtown, and I love that historical hotel. That until I was inside that ring, I was like, okay, it's happening. So I was very happy about it because, like I said, I'm all about wow and not about Loca or cage heat. You know, I wasn't looking to just where can I take myself to the next level without giving respect to wow. So my loyalty has always been to them. So very happy to be part of this women's federation that I hope to continue to be a pioneer, and for other women who have this dream to wrestle, to keep doing it and to have a place to go to, you know, that it's not just WWF or whatever, you know, that this is a full-on, you know, respectable, I'm all about the respect, you know, a respectable federation that you come in and learn and have a family outing. Everyone wins.
Okay. I think the last part of his question here is, after you were I'm filling in here. After you were contacted and after you agreed to go back, and what was the process of WOW's relaunch on your part? I'm guessing he's asking, did you have any significant role in the relaunch? I mean, other than retaking the role of Loca.
I did help out because of being, you know, now we go back with roles reversing and hanging with the newbies, you know, coming in and helping, you know, train. And, you know, I was a good example for the new girls to come, you know, how to be, you know, you commit to your character. And I actually I worked a little bit more in production a little bit and helped out with some vignettes or whatnot, because I'm an acting coach, and I'm going to be teaching after the new year with the Actors Lab. So I helped out a lot with kind of being the bridge between wrestlers who came from the independent circuit who've never acted before, and then to the actors that never wrestled before. So it was kind of a good bridge to be like, okay, with lingo, like this is what they mean by this, and you're doing this because all the big questions like, why am I doing that? It's like, okay, well, if you would know the world of wrestling, this is what happens when you do this, you know, with a move or something, you know, like slapping the waist, and then you give the hands back. You know, it's like, why would I do that? It's like, okay, it's because you're not understanding the world of wrestling. That this is a specific language and lingo, and what goes on these four corners is the universe. So things like that I helped out, you know, where before, you know, I was a complete newbie, didn't know anything, to being able to help and guide others that they did for me when I first joined.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And that was what I can't keep pronouncing his name. I wish he had an actual name, Nataga. That's what. That's the stuff that he had listed for us. So thank you to him for sending that in. Who is the individual that wanted to make sure that he got his questions in and specifically requested having Loca on. So I wanted to make sure I got that in.
Thank you, Nataga, if that's your name, and I hope I answered your questions. You can follow me at Cher Loca on IG.
Yeah, we need to make sure I put that in the description, so
if
anybody's interested, they can kind of catch you and follow you and follow your journey going forth.
Yeah.
Is there any reason? Because, well, first off, I know we talked about this before, so I'll fill in some of this. I know some people simply have moved on with their lives, and you know, some people weren't contacted for whatever reason. So there's a significant chunk of ladies who were in the original WoW that did not come back. You know, no slight on them, but they just didn't happen. But WoW also refired up and started with some new girls around season 2 and 3. Well, now that some of those girls have kind of filtered out as well, is there any particular reason that this happened because I would think that this one being so close to, the current product, that most of them would have come back. But clearly that did not. I know one individual you said, Azukar, she basically, she had a life-changing situation. She's becoming a
Yeah, she
mom,
had a
so
baby.
so that
Yeah,
pretty
she
much
definitely
explains
will
it
be
for
back.
her. But as far as some of the other girls, and I can run down some of the names. I know Candice LeRae probably went back to the Indies because we saw her in the Mae Young Classic. Desdemona, I'm not even sure where she is or who that person is. Fire, Frost. Who else we got here? Kitty, we know she went over to Lucha
Lucha.
Underground, as did La Nina, Melissa Santos, Lady London,
Yeah.
who didn't appear in any episodes of Wild as far as I know. Uh, Paradise, who came back and they had a big deal about that in the episode, and she hasn't returned as far as I know. Uh, was there any talk or Tadvik, who was kind of positioned as a big, I don't want to say a big deal, but she was kind of positioned as a singles main eventer, and the zombie, I never saw her. She's listed,
Oh,
but
oh,
but
that's funny that the zombie's listed. That's hilarious. No, she didn't do anything. She
uh,
had a good look, the zombie, but didn't happen. You know, if I can be as diplomatic as possible
be
and
diplomatic.
not put, yeah, it was just coming back, and I think the OG girls and the OG mentality, and maybe we hoped that we would have that magic that we had in the first round of WoW. So, and then I think with the different times where, we're talking 15, 16 years ago, where social media was pretty much, maybe we had MySpace then. I don't even know if Facebook was there yet.
No,
But I
there
just
was
think
no
like
Facebook.
the time.
Mm.
Yeah, so the time was different, and I feel like there was just that team feel was kind of not there. If I had to, put my point in.
Okay.
Not that, I don't know. I just kind of feel like some people were just out maybe for themselves as opposed to the brand. But there was just, because it was so sporadic with training and then this new office and production, I just kind of feel like those girls, like I said, I don't know, but there was some drama, and then they couldn't, and it was just easier to be like, you know what, it's just best that there's plenty of girls out there that that want to be part of this and do things, for WoW. But I know I'm being very vague, but it's
No, I
just for the
understand you being
benefit of kind of,
diplomatic.
yeah, but some people just had a big mouth, and some people did things just more of, just like I said, I think we kind of just felt like, WoW is here to pioneer and have this vision come to life, and I think other people had different ideas that it was just like, well, we're not here for you. So yeah, so I think there was just and I think that's what sparked perhaps, or spawned the even more, because I was more about, yes, if we're going to go reality, then we have to not, show our tricks, but, go through what women wrestlers go through before we put on a show, what we got to go through, and the things that we got to deal within the company with other wrestlers before we go out there, or some people are partners and they hate each other perhaps, or you're wrestling somebody that you really don't like, and you have to make sure you don't really hurt the person, or things like that. But yeah, so I just think it was just kind of rocky, coming back that first time, and these girls not understanding what WoW has gone through already. So that's what I could say.
Okay. I mean, you know, and I could probably, I guess, venture a guess as to some of them, as to why they didn't come back. I
Hmm.
mean, you know, like I said, there's a few that I look at like, okay, I can see why a Candice LeRae might not have come back, or
Yeah, 'cause she has a complete, she's independent wrestler, and she's fantastic, and
yeah,
she's got her thing going on. Yeah,
exactly.
exactly.
You know, so you got girls like her, and like you said, Kitty and La Nina, who found
Yeah,
work in Lucha Underground, and I know that the
yeah,
hiatus had something to do with it. Frost, who I did speak with, and I don't know what her position with the company was, but I know at the time that I talked to her, she had just picked up more stunt work and just essentially kind of moved into that direction. Uh, and then,
yeah.
what's that? I'm sorry.
I was saying, yeah. I was saying that she was definitely Frost was definitely one of the ones that kind of I don't know. I can't blame people wanting to. It's a smart business move or whatnot, but it's like, if you want to be a part of this company, then it goes this way, and then you want to start having a voice. It's like, whoa, 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 like you don't have any place to say these A, B, and C things. So she was definitely one of the wrestlers that I could see not coming back, just because I don't know, she just kind of had some beef. So I felt,
Well,
yeah,
you know, she was very vocal, you know, about what she felt. She didn't mix words, that was for certain. And again,
yeah.
I can
Mhm.
see why she and others like Fire and Lady London and so on and so forth might not have come back just based on the hiatus. Again, you know, nothing
Yeah,
towards the
yeah.
company, but
Love Lady London too. I love Lady London. She's fantastic. I would love for her to come back, but she comes from a family of stunts. Her dad was a stunt for like Indiana Jones. Her mom, I believe, also, and her grandmother or grandfather. So she comes from a world of stunts, and she was one of my faves during that time. I really really appreciate her. So I wish she would come back.
you know, I guess the one person I'm kind of surprised about that didn't come back is Paradise. I thought if anybody within that crop of the 2012 returnees would have come back at in 2016, she would have been one of them.
Yeah, I think it's because she lives in Vegas, and at time, we were performing in Vegas, and so
Okay.
it was great because we went there, and so she was able, she's got like 4 kids, and she looks amazing. I'm like, she looks like she
So
looks. Talk about
4.
another person who looks in. I think 4. And
Holy
sorry,
smoke.
Paradise, if I'm adding a baby or not, but I'm pretty sure she had 3 or 4 kids, and she
She's in
just looks
immaculate
amazing.
condition. Yeah, if that's the case.
Yeah. So, she has a whole life out in Vegas. So at the time, when we were out there, it worked for her. And she did come down to LA at times because she does have family out here. So she did make trek this way at times when we needed her to. But then it just got a little too much. So especially now that we're not, now I'm hoping to have our home in downtown Velasco, so at the theater. So I think that had to do with geography. Had nothing else to, not because she didn't want to be and stuff. It just didn't work out with travel
Okay.
and having kids. I mean, if we were in Vegas, a little different because she can like sneak away. But then it's like I can't have mom be gone for
So days at a
a couple
time.
of days at a time. Yeah, and all that stuff. I'm sure I can't even imagine. So love Paradise. I'm a big fan of Paradise.
Well, I understand, and I know there's some people out there who kind of question, like, well, what happened to so and so? What happened to this person? What happened to that person? And I know you don't have all the answers. You know, I just felt
I
like,
don't.
yeah. But I just felt like I at least had to put it out there because I know that there's some people that get questioned. I wish I could say that somebody asked about the zombie. I'm not even sure that if most people know that the zombie existed, but they do know people like Sunshine and Tadvik the Gamer because they aired in episodes. And I know Sunshine put on her Facebook at some point that she just kind of stepped out of the entertainment business altogether. So
Yeah, exactly. Had nothing to do, and she was talk about another. She reminded me of a Roxy Powers. She was beautiful and physique and charming, and But yeah, she just by the time we got back, she moved to Vegas and completely changed her. She's a very smart girl, and yeah, so she just decided to have a change of career altogether. Exactly.
And nothing wrong with that. And I know Tadvik did work the independents briefly. I don't think she did it anything long term. I certainly don't hear or see anything about her at this point. So, maybe she stepped away from the wrestling deal altogether too. Who knows?
I don't know. Yeah, I know yeah, I feel like she had her, who knows? I don't really know Tatovic very well, but she was very to herself. Nothing wrong with that either, but and that's what I mean as far as having that team feel, where it's like, oh, well, we can't be a team here if everyone's to themselves kind of thing. But, whatever you want, whatever floats your boat, my dad would say. But, I have no idea what she was thinking or what her angle was or why she's, so that's that.
It's all good. But to put a bow on it as we go into 2016, the new home for WoW has essentially been the Belasco, and I talked to you about this and saying that I like the upgrade of WoW or the new change. I talked about some of this at the beginning of it. It seemed like the philosophy behind WoW has changed a little bit to where it's kind of not necessarily existing in its own universe like is WoW and there's nothing else. And I'm not saying that I'm not saying that they integrate wrestling from all over the country, but they at least acknowledge that it exists.
Correct.
In much the same way as like when Amber O'Neil and Santana Garrett came in, the vignettes or the interviews essentially told you like, hey, these ladies been wrestling on independence for years now, and they got footage from places that they worked and cut that into the thing, which I thought was a nice touch, and having them be inside of the Belasco, which is a beautiful venue.
I think it was so beautiful, and it's intimate, and a lot of us are here, and and then people have work here too, so if it's like they don't live here, they have no problem, they'll maximize their travel to LA because there's so much to do when you're in, now we've got so many more wrestling circuits that the girls, when they do come in, they can get booked. Now, back in the day, I didn't have that. If I was to go, even have that I didn't have that option. I wasn't aware of these. All the independent circuits were on the East Coast. Years ago. But now there's so much more going on in EW. I mean, there's so many more federations and intergender wrestling, and so I didn't have that opportunity. Is probably one of the reasons why I didn't, continue. But I think it's really nice to have the independent girls come in, like you said, opening up the WoW universe and going, hey, they do exist, and it's nice that we should respect women's wrestling all across the board by bringing in independent wrestlers and putting light on them. So
okay. Well,
I think Amber O'Neil just moved out to California, so we'll see. Well, we'll see what's up with her. Yeah.
Good on her. What's the I've seen at one point that Riot was kind of, I don't want to say loaned out, but she was allowed to wrestle in a different place. What's the likelihood that if David McClain was approached by, let's say, PWG or some other promotion, because I know that WoW has offered up a match to another promotion where the WoW Championship was defended. I can't remember the name of the promotion, but I know I want to say Chloe Hertz and Jungle Girl wrestled in a different location. What's the likelihood that Cage Heat or some other team that might repeat, where a local promotion says, hey, we'd like to host a WoW match. Could we have Cage Heat versus whoever, the Bully Busters or something like that?
Right.
Do you think that the promotion would be open to allowing WoW personalities to wrestle again in another location?
I don't know. That's a great question. I mean, you made a great point where Chloe Hertz and Jungle Girl did that, and the fact that we're opening the WoW universe. I don't know. I mean, that's definitely something to be like. I'm not going to say no, and I'm not going to say yes. That's probably if there was already a history of a possibility that perhaps but I couldn't say. That's all. Wow, that's all up to Uncle David McClain. I call him my Uncle Daddy. We're so close, but that's something on him that he would have to obviously solidify. But who knows? That's pretty smart to do.
Well, yeah.
But it would have to be specific and
I mean,
and for the big brand. Wow. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I would imagine that they're not going to cross the streams too much. Like, let me send Jungle Girl out here to wrestle somebody that's not under the WoW banner. I would guess if it were going to happen, it would be something much like what's going on at WrestleCade, where WoW essentially provides the match. So,
Right.
I mean, it would be interesting. Don't get me wrong. It would be interesting to see if they crossed the streams and they stuck Jungle Girl or Cage Heat or whoever into the ring, and you guys took on an independent act that that I think that would be quite the attraction actually. But
interesting, yeah. Especially who knows? Like I said, now with all the social media and new media stuff, who knows now? Those possibilities are more open than they were before. That's for sure.
Absolutely. So,
yeah.
So I think we have run down the entirety of WoW. You talked about a little bit of your acting in there too. I saw you slip that in, and you didn't talk about you being on Veronica Mars. You went down your resume, but you didn't bring up Veronica Mars. So I'm gonna bring it up for you.
Oh yeah.
That you're on Veronica Mars. Which was a big show with Kristen Bell and whatnot. So yeah, you have to bring that in. But
I had a recurring role on Veronica Mars and did Nip Tuck and Weed, Shameless, Southland, The Game. Yeah, so I'm been doing not too shabby. I'm just ready for my series regular role. So I'm targeting Glow. It's like they need to know that I'm an actor, that can wrestle.
Well, now wouldn't that be difficult for you though? That I would think that would be kind of hard especially if you took series regular and then you're working matches. That might be tough.
To do a series regular and do what?
And work WoW.
Well, you know what? WoW is so open to our outside lives too. You know what I mean? So if and the way things are going now, as far as like, I can come in and shoot this. They're very open. They're not like like you're with us and that's it as far as the television show goes or whatnot. But I guess it would be difficult, but I take on challenge, and I think things would it depends. Like I said, it's not like we're in the office every week, doing matches or whatnot. So I think it could happen. I mean, for sure. Yeah.
Okay. Closing statements. Have anything that you'd like to say before we finish up? I think we have covered a great deal of information here. Got anything you want to relate to the fans before we polish it and put a bow on it?
Oh, I just want to say thank you for this interview. Thank you to the fans and their questions and their loyalty, and so just thank you, and so I'm down, supporting, women's movements and finally getting WoW in our time. So I just want WoW to take off, and whether it's me being a pioneer, so And thank you, Brian, for having this show and this website. So thank you so much.
Well, thank you for making time to come back out and get on the show for me and share this information and take your walk down memory lane with a lot of your WoW events and talk about some of the stuff that we didn't know anything about, like you cracking your ribs and whatnot. So
yeah, it's true. Yeah, so thank you. And then, like I said, if you wanna, I'm going to be teaching at the Actors Lab if you're in Los Angeles and you're a beginning actor and, thinking about it. I'm going to be teaching there. And my Instagram is Cher Loca 375. And then my other one is wow_E Loca. So a couple of Instagrams there to follow.
A couple of different ways to catch it. You can also follow the Women's Pro Wrestling Network on WPN Wrestling on Instagram and on Twitter. And of course,
there you go.
Facebook, just spell it all out, Women's Pro Wrestling Network, and it will come right on up. And that is the same way we operate on YouTube. So we got it all set out, ready for you to go. And if I'm going to give myself a real plug here, you got other interviews, great stuff in the archives. Some of her very own colleagues, such as Jungle Girl, Lana Kinnear, Jacqueline Hyde, Bronco Billy, which did that years ago when I talked to her, almost 7 years now that I think about it. So yeah, we got a lot of good stuff in there. If you're really wanting to hear more about WoW backstage and some of the ins and outs of the Riot, which was a great interview. So you got a real choice to pick from there. There's a huge playlist. Just go in there, not to mention the free matches and the docu interviews that we have in there as well. So that is that.
Yeah, you got a great, talk about a plethora. No, you've got a great resource for people to tap into, and thank you. Yeah, archives are fantastic.
Well, thank you for the plug. I appreciate it. And again, thank you for coming on. Thank you out there for listening to us talk and give you this stuff. Wasn't planning to go this long, but man, there was a lot of stuff, and I probably could go hours with her more, but on my end of the world, it's late. So that's about all I can do. So I want to thank you guys for listening, for downloading, for going onto the website, for subscribing and liking. If you haven't done it, please do so. It helps out every which way that you can to subscribe and hit that notification button if you're on YouTube. Hit the RSS feed if you get it through Podbean and stuff like that. Every little bit helps. So I think that will do it. So for me, Mr. Green and the Women's Pro Wrestling Network, and for Cher, aka Loca, I hope I'm giving it right this time. And Wow Women of Wrestling, we want to say thank you all and so long, everybody.
Peace out.
Thank you for listening to the WPN's Rights and Wrongs of Pro Wrestling. If you have questions or comments, please contact us via our Facebook or our YouTube channel at the Women's Pro Wrestling Network. If you're new to the WPN, feel free to subscribe to our channel and like our page. We appreciate your support. Thank you again for listening.